In this world, so many music people try to decide a woman's worth by looking at her outside, her face, her figure, her paycheck, how many people like her posts, how many heads turn when she walks into a room. God, but none of that is where real value lives. Real value is not handed to you by the crowd. It is built inside you, in your relationship with God, in the strength of your character, in the quiet light you carry that no camera can capture. Music today, I want to sit with you and talk about what it truly means to become a high-value woman. Not high value in the eyes of a scrolling timeline. Not high value by the standards of a culture that changes its mind every season. High value in the eyes of the divine music, and high value in your own eyes when no one else is watching. Because here is the music truth. The day you finally see your own worth clearly, the world loses its power to make you feel small. A high-value woman is not created by status, by money, by beauty, or by attention. She is built from dignity, self-respect, kindness, strength of character, and an unshakable trust in God's timing. So let's walk through this together, the qualities that make a woman priceless. Not priceless music to the world first, but priceless to herself first. Part 1. The foundation of self-respect. If we're going to talk about becoming a high-value woman, we have to start foundation, and that foundation is self-respect. A woman who respects herself carries a kind of strength that nobody can shake because it isn't built on anything external. It isn't arrogance. Music isn't ego. It is the calm, steady knowledge of who she is, what she stands for, and what she will never allow into her life again. Out in the music world, people will constantly try to price you. They'll look at your appearance, your bank music account, the compliments you receive, and try to hand you a number. Society loves to confuse popularity with worth, but your value was never meant to be counted in likes, followers, flattering words, or things you own. Real worth is grown from the inside, from how you treat yourself when nobody is looking, from the grace in the way you carry yourself. God, from the boundaries you build to protect your own peace. Let me give you a picture. Take $100 bill, fold music it, crumple it, drop it in the mud, step on it. It is still Jad in every single way, worth $100. Nothing that happened to it on the outside changed its value. A woman with self-respect understands this in her bones. Life can get messy. People can talk. Someone can try to break her down. None of it lowers her worth, because her worth was never sitting on the outside to begin with. It is rooted in her self-respect, and nothing outside of her can touch it. A high-value woman does not beg to be loved, music noticed, or accepted. She does not shrink her standards just to keep music the peace. She refuses to normalize disrespect because she understands something simple, music but powerful. If you allow disrespect once, it quietly becomes a pattern. So, instead, she teaches people how to treat her through the way she treats herself. When she walks with dignity, the room responds with respect. When she guards her time, her energy, music, her emotions, people learn, often without a word being said, to stop wasting them. Picture your life as a beautiful home with open gates. Leave the gates open to anyone, and eventually music, someone walks in, makes a mess, and disappears without a trace. But when you decide who gets access, music, who is allowed through the gate and who isn't, your home stays peaceful, protected, and respected. Your self-respect music works the exact same way. It is the gatekeeper of your heart, your mind, your energy. Not everyone has earned the right to enter. Now imagine a woman in a relationship where music is constantly overlooked, her feelings brushed aside, her voice ignored, her dreams treated as unimportant. If she stays quiet, hoping things will somehow fix themselves, she isn't practicing self-respect. She's practicing self-abandonment. But if she finally says, "This isn't how I deserve to be treated. I deserve to be valued. I deserve to be heard," that is self-respect in action. She might lose that relationship, but she will not lose herself. And losing a relationship is nothing compared to losing yourself. Self-respect also shows music up in something as small as the word no. So many women feel guilty saying music no, even to requests that quietly drain them dry. But hear this clearly. Saying no to what doesn't serve your growth is really saying yes to your peace and your purpose. Every time you protect a boundary, you teach the people around you, slowly music but surely, to respect it too. Think about a woman at work, who keeps absorbing every extra task thrown her way. For a while, everyone calls her a team player. But eventually she's exhausted, stretched thin, running on empty. Now, picture the same woman saying instead, "I can music give you excellent work within this workload." Beyond that, the quality will suffer. That isn't music rudeness. That is a woman who values her own time and energy enough to protect music it. And over time, people don't respect her less for it. They respect her more. Here's something else worth saying, plainly. Self-respect is shaped by how you speak to yourself. Often, the harshest voice a woman hears isn't the world's. It's her own. A high-value woman refuses to insult herself in the mirror. She doesn't call herself weak, unworthy, or unlovable. Instead, she speaks to herself the way she'd and speak music to someone she deeply cared about, with encouragement, with patience, with kindness. Because when you respect yourself on the inside, music it radiates outward. People can feel it. They can sense the energy of a woman who moves through life music with quiet confidence and genuine self-love. And that energy earns respect music without her ever having to demand it. And remember this, the deepest form of self-respect comes from understanding that music you were made with intention. You are not an accident. You were not thrown together by chance. You were shaped with care, formed with purpose, and given a worth that was never up for negotiation. If the very source of all creation put such thought into making you, how could you ever look at yourself as anything less than valuable? So, walk with dignity, speak with quiet confidence, wear your invisible crown in a way that's impossible to miss. Refuse to let other people's opinions write your story. Refuse to let a single hard season convince you that you're less than you are. Stand tall in your self-respect, because the moment you honor who you are, the world quietly learns to honor you back. Part 2, anchored in faith, her connection with God. If self-respect is the crown, her connection with God is the root system that holds her steady through every storm. This bond is what makes a high-value woman calm even in chaos, peaceful even in uncertainty, and bright even in darkness. No matter what shakes around her, a woman who walks closely with God carries a kind of confidence nothing else can offer. She may bend under pressure, but she does not break. She may stumble, but she never completely falls apart, because she knows deep down music that she is never walking alone. Life brings heartbreak. It brings failure, betrayal, disappointment to every single one of us. Some people let these moments crush them completely, but a high-value woman draws her strength not from a world that constantly shifts beneath her God feet, but from the unchanging presence of God. When the world turns its back, she remembers God does not. When people misjudge her, she remembers God sees her heart clearly. When others forget her worth, she remembers her value was given by her Creator. And no person on earth has the power to take it away. Picture a young woman living under constant pressure. Got pressure about her career, her looks, her relationship status, always trying to satisfy everyone around her while slowly losing herself in the process. Then one day she pauses, she steps away from the noise, she sits quietly in prayer, in stillness, in reflection. In that quiet moment, peace begins to settle over her heart. She realizes she doesn't need to prove her worth to anyone. She only needs to stay true music to what God placed within her. That single moment of connection gives her more music strength than 1,000 outside compliments ever could. A high-value woman understands that staying close to God means she is never truly alone. Even in her most solitary moments, she feels held. Even in pain, she feels comforted. Even in confusion, she feels quietly guided. This music's spiritual anchor becomes her inner compass. It shapes her choices, it deepens her patience, it strengthens the very core of her character. Think of a tree standing through a violent storm. Wind slams against it, rain beats down relentlessly, but it does not fall because its roots run deep beneath the surface. A high-value woman stands the same way. Storms will come into her life, but she remains steady because her roots are sunk deep into her faith. While others may panic or lose all hope, she stays muse-composed. Not because life is easier for her, but because she trusts something greater is holding her steady. Now picture her at work, giving her very best, yet still facing unfair criticism, or being consistently overlooked. Many people would crumble under that kind of pressure, and start doubting their own worth. But a spiritually grounded woman responds differently. Rather than drowning in frustration, she hands the situation over to God, quietly reminding herself, what is meant for me will find its way to me. No one can block a blessing meant for my life. With that mindset, she keeps showing up with honesty and patience. No bitterness, no resentment, music, and in time, that patience is rewarded. Recognition finds music her, respect finds her, not because she fought loudest, but because she stayed calm, trusting music and steady. This spiritual grounding also gives her the courage to release what no longer serves her. Sometimes we cling to toxic relationships, harmful habits, or draining environments simply because we're afraid of being alone. But a woman who trusts God understands that when something leaves her life, it's making room for something better. She doesn't fear endings because she believes in divine new beginnings. She doesn't collapse over closed doors because she knows every closed door makes space for another to open. This connection reshapes how she treats other people too. A woman who feels loved by God music naturally extends that love outward. She stops competing, she stops comparing, she stops envying because she understands everyone is walking their own music path in their own time. Instead, she lifts others up, she encourages, she supports. Her spiritual music presence becomes so steady and warm that people simply feel safer around her. And here's something important to remember. Being spiritually grounded does not mean life becomes free of problems. Challenges will still come, pain will still come. What changes is her response. A high-value woman doesn't crumble under pressure. She kneels in prayer. She strengthens her spirit through faith. She keeps moving forward one steady step at a time. Her struggles don't destroy her, they refine her into someone wiser, someone stronger, someone more radiant than before. So, ask yourself honestly, how do you begin your mornings? Do you wake up and immediately start scrolling, absorbing everyone else's opinions before your feet even touch the floor? Or do you begin in stillness, in gratitude, in quiet prayer, reminding yourself that you are guided by something far greater than the noise around you? A woman who starts her day rooted in God carries that same calm through every hour that follows. She becomes like a steady river, calm, nourishing, unstoppable in her quiet flow. Remember this always, beauty fades, status shifts, possessions come and go, but your connection with God is timeless. That connection is your true treasure, your real music wealth, your true crown. When you stay rooted there, nothing in this world can shake music your worth. People may misunderstand you, society may try to label you, but deep music in your soul you will always know, I am valuable, because I come from the divine. God, my worth is eternal. My light cannot be dimmed, my path is guided. So, hold on to your faith, sisters. Strengthen that bond daily. Be grateful in the good seasons. Be patient music in the hard ones. Trust the plan even in confusion. The more deeply rooted you become in that connection, the more steady, powerful, and high value you become in every corner of your life. Part 3. The power of emotional stability. One of the most defining qualities of a high-value woman is her emotional stability. In a world where people react instantly, music get provoked easily, and get rattled by every small inconvenience, she becomes the calm center in the middle of the storm. This doesn't mean she doesn't feel things deeply, she does. The difference is that her emotions don't control music her. She understands them, manages them, and responds with wisdom instead of impulse. There's a common myth today that emotional strength means being cold or detached. But real strength was never about shutting your feelings down. It's about facing them honestly, processing them fully, and choosing a response that builds rather than one that destroys. A high-value woman refuses to let a fleeting emotion create a permanent regret. She knows that anger, fear, music, and jealousy are all normal human experiences, but she doesn't let them take the wheel. Instead of reacting instantly, she pauses, she reflects. Then she responds with clarity. Picture a glass of water. Shake it violently and its music turns cloudy and chaotic. Let it sit still and it settles into something calm and clear. Your mind and heart behave exactly the same way. Every time you let a careless comment, a setback, or a disappointment shake you completely, music, you lose your inner peace. But when you learn to remain steady inside, even while the world shakes around you, you gain clarity, and that clarity becomes real power. That is emotional stability. Now, picture a woman working in a genuinely stressful environment. Coworkers gossip behind her back. Her manager criticizes unfairly. Deadlines never let up. Most people in her position would either shut down or lash out, but she chooses calm instead. She treats criticism as fuel for growth. She lets gossip pass without absorbing it. She manages her time with quiet wisdom. Her emotional maturity protects her peace, and without even trying, she earns a kind of silent respect from everyone around her. Admired not just for her competence but for her composure. The same principle shows up in relationships. A woman without emotional grounding might argue constantly, second-guess herself, or chase endless reassurance. But a high-value woman doesn't let fear steer her relationships. She speaks her mind clearly instead of raising her voice. She listens with genuine empathy instead of rushing to judge. And she walks away music from disrespect rather than clinging to something that hurts her. Her calm becomes magnetic because music people can feel that they are safe around her. Now, emotional strength does not mean she never cries, never music breaks down, never feels hurt. Crying is not weakness, it's release. Pain is not weakness either. It's simply music, part of being human. What separates a high-value woman is that she refuses to stay trapped music in her pain. She feels it fully, she accepts it honestly, and then she chooses deliberately to rise back up. She never lets one difficult day spiral into a difficult life. She knows how to soothe her emotions, how to breathe through the hard moments, how to ground herself. and how to keep moving forward with grace intact. That life will always test you. Disappointment, confusion, rejection, music and loss are simply part of the human experience. But emotional strength is the shield that keeps these tests from breaking you apart. Think about heartbreak. So many people completely lose themselves the moment someone walks away. But a high-value woman says instead, yes, music, this hurts. Yes, I will cry, but this is not the end of my story. Something greater is still ahead of me. That single mindset shift transforms her pain into wisdom, her tears into understanding, her heartbreak into growth. The greatest music gift emotional stability offers is freedom. Freedom from being controlled by your music circumstances. Freedom from being manipulated by other people. Freedom from being trapped by your own instant reactions. When you learn music to steer your emotions, you learn to steer your entire life. People may try to push you. Life may try to shake you, but you remain standing, steady as a mountain, and that steadiness is precisely what makes you high value. And here's the beautiful part. When a woman becomes emotionally stable, music becomes a source of light for everyone around her. Her children absorb strength from her calm. Her friends lean on her clarity. Her co-workers trust her steady leadership without ever trying to prove anything. She becomes a pillar, not because she speaks the loudest, but because she stands the strongest. Think of a candle in total darkness. When the wind rushes in, weak flames go out instantly, but a strong flame keeps burning steady. A high-value woman's emotional stability is exactly like that strong flame. No matter how dark things get around her, her inner light continues to glow, and because music of that glow, other people find their way too. So, train your heart to stay steady. When anger rises, pause before you speak. When fear creeps in, remind yourself that it will pass. When sadness comes, let yourself feel it fully, but don't drown in it. With every challenge, ask yourself one simple question. How can I respond with wisdom instead of pure reaction? Over music time, your strength will grow like steel, firm, unshakable, quietly radiant. Storms will always come, but emotional strength teaches you to dance in the rain instead of hiding from it. Challenges will always appear, but emotional stability music lets you stand tall right in the center of the storm. That truly is the beauty of a high-value woman. Her emotions, music, do not command her. She commands them. And that alone makes her a force the world simply cannot overlook. Part 4. God living with purpose and passion. A high-value woman is never someone who simply drifts out through life, checking off boxes society hands her, or doing whatever everyone else expects. She lives with purpose. She lives with passion. She understands deeply that her life is not a coincidence. Her existence is not random, and her journey is not meaningless. God placed specific gifts, talents, and dreams inside her, and her responsibility isn't to shrink them. It's to honor them by living fully and honestly. So often, women are taught to make themselves smaller, to put everyone else's needs first, to quiet their own desires, to convince themselves their dreams don't really matter. But a high-value woman knows her dreams' music matter deeply. She knows the fire burning in her chest isn't time, some accident to be extinguished. That fire music is her purpose. It exists to guide her forward, not to be smothered by doubt, fear, or someone else's opinion. Think of it this way. Every candle exists to shine. If it hides its own flame out of fear of the darkness, what was the point of lighting it at all? In the same way, when a woman buries her gifts out of fear of judgment, she robs the world of the exact light only she was meant to bring. Living with purpose isn't selfish. It's actually a form of service. Because when you follow your calling, you don't just fulfill yourself. You lift the people around you. You add real value to the world simply by being fully, unapologetically yourself. Consider a woman who has loved painting since she was a little girl. As she grows older, people around her insist, that won't pay the bills, be realistic. Let that dream go. For a while, she listens and she quietly buries her passion. But something inside her feels hollow. Eventually, she gathers the courage to pick her brush's music back up. Slowly, she notices her art moves people. It heals something in them. It earns real appreciation. What happened here? By honoring her passion, she didn't just rediscover her own joy. She gave something meaningful back to the world. That is what living with purpose actually looks like. And purpose doesn't have to be loud or dramatic. Sometimes it lives in the smallest, quietest things. Raising children with real love, showing up for your community, teaching someone a skill, writing something that moves people, cooking a meal that brings a family back together at the table. Whatever your gift is, whether it feels small or enormous, honoring it means honoring the larger plan written for your life. A high-value woman understands that passion generates energy. When you genuinely love what you do, you carry a different kind of glow. People feel the spark in your voice. Genuine excitement is magnetic. It draws music people in without you saying a word. That passion becomes unstoppable fuel music because it gives you strength even in the hardest seasons. Without passion, life feels heavy and mechanical. Yet with it, even the hard days carry meaning. Picture two women working the same kind of job. One shows up purely for the paycheck. She drags herself through each music shift, watches the clock tick, and goes home completely drained. The other shows up with purpose, not because her job is flawless, but because she has found real meaning within it. She looks constantly for ways to grow, to help, music to improve things around her. Yes, she's tired by the end of the day. To music, but she's fulfilled, not empty. Which of the two leaves a lasting impact on the people music around her? Undoubtedly, the one walking with passion. Purpose also becomes your compass in seasons music of confusion. So many women feel lost simply because they've been following someone else's mean God map their whole lives. Society constantly whispers rules at you. By this age, you should be married. By this age, you should have children. You should look a certain way. You should earn a certain amount. But a high-value woman eventually stops measuring her life against someone else's timeline. She learns to ask a far more important question. What has God placed inside me, and how do I honor it on my own timeline, in my own way? When you finally give yourself permission to chase what genuinely lights you up, music not what looks impressive to strangers, but what feels true in your own spirit, you stop living someone else's life by accident. You start living yours on purpose, and that shift alone changes everything. It changes how you speak, how you carry yourself, how you handle setbacks, because you are no longer performing for an audience. You are simply becoming who you were always meant to be. Part 5. Grace in relationships and protecting music her piece. There is one more piece to this puzzle, and it ties everything together. How a high-value woman moves music through her relationships, whether with family, friends, co-workers, or someone she loves romantically. Everything we've talked about, self-respect, faith, emotional steadiness, purpose, comes alive most visibly in how she treats people and how she allows herself to be treated in return. A high-value woman gives love generously, but she never gives it blindly. She understands the difference between kindness and self-neglect. She can be warm, generous, deeply caring, and still hold firm boundaries. In fact, her boundaries are often what make her kindness sustainable. A woman who gives endlessly without music limits eventually runs dry, becomes resentful, or loses herself entirely in the process of trying music to please everyone. But a woman who gives from a place of wholeness, who protects her peace as fiercely as she protects the people she loves, has something real and lasting to offer year after year. She also understands that not every relationship deserves the same access to her heart. Some people are meant to walk beside her for a lifetime. Others are only meant to walk a short stretch of the road, and that's all right too. She doesn't force people to stay past the season, and she doesn't chase those who have already decided to leave. Music, she trusts that the right people, the ones who see her worth clearly, music will stay without needing to be convinced. In romantic relationships, specifically, a high-value woman refuses to confuse intensity with intimacy, or attention with genuine love. She knows real love is patient, it listens. It respects her voice, her time, her dreams. She doesn't accept crumbs and call it a feast. She would rather stand alone in her worth than music shrink herself to fit beside someone who cannot see her clearly. And this isn't bitterness, it's simply clarity. She knows exactly what she deserves because she has already learned to give that same respect to herself. Music first. She also extends grace to herself and to others. She understands that people, including herself, are works in progress. She doesn't demand perfection from anyone, but she also never confuses grace with permission to be mistreated repeatedly. She can forgive without forgetting the lesson. She can love someone deeply and still walk away if walking away is what protects her peace and her tea. And through all of this, she protects her energy the way she'd protect anything precious. She chooses her circles carefully. She surrounds herself with people who add to her life rather than drain it. People who celebrate her wins instead of quietly resenting them. People who tell her the truth instead of just what she wants to hear. She knows that the company she keeps music shapes the woman she becomes. So she chooses that company with the same intention she brings to everything else in her life. So, my dear sisters, as we come to the end of this conversation, let's bring it all together. Becoming a high-value woman was never music about becoming someone else, someone more polished, more perfect, more impressive to strangers on the internet. It was always about becoming more fully, more honestly yourself. It begins with self-respect, knowing your worth so deeply that no one can talk you out of it. It's strengthened by your connection with God. Music, a root system steady enough to hold you through every storm life throws your way. It's protected music by emotional stability, The quiet strength to feel deeply without being ruled by every passing music feeling. It's fulfilled through purpose and passion, living out the gifts placed inside you, instead of marrying them out of fear. And it's expressed through grace in your relationships, loving music fully while still protecting the peace you've worked so hard to build. You do not need permission from anyone to start living this way. You do not need anyone's approval to finally see your own worth. Music, that decision belongs entirely to you, and it can begin the moment you choose it. Today, music right now, in this very breath. So, walk forward with your head high and your music heart steady. Speak to yourself with the same kindness you'd offer someone you love. Trust music to plan even when the picture isn't clear yet. And remember always, you were never an accident. You were made with intention, given a purpose, and handed a worth that was never anyone else's to take away. You are, and you always have been, a high-value woman.